I'm Debbie Godfrey, and welcome to Season 2 of the Positive Parenting Pep Talks podcast, where I'll be answering your questions about positive parenting. So sit back and listen to what some parents have asked and what my suggestions are for them. And please remember to like, subscribe, and share, and give us a great review if you like this Pep Talks podcast. Thank you so much for being here and happy parenting. Most parents have a problem with their kids listening. It's just one of the most common complaints that parents come to the classes with. So today I'm answering a mom's question on what to do when her kids aren't listening. And I think that you'll enjoy this episode. I share stories about when my kids didn't listen when they were younger. And I think it's a fun topic to talk about because sometimes we make it so overwhelming by clumping everything that they do and don't do into not listening. And in this episode, we talk about separating out all of those things so that it's not so overwhelming. In addition to some, practical tips and tools for what to do to get your kids to listen better. So enjoy today's Positive Parenting Pep Talk.
My actual questions, I'll start with the first one, which is, I know it's going to be one of those, there's not really an easy answer either, but my kids, one of our biggest frustrations in our house is they just, when you make a request of them, they don't listen. And we'll give them ample warning. Hey, this is a 15-minute warning dinner. We'll bring in an egg timer, 5 minutes till dinner. When it comes to come sit down for dinner, it's us having to say it 3 times. My husband gets very frustrated. There's a little bit of voices raised, a little bit of it all ends, we're going to count to 5, and if you're not sitting down, you're not having dinner, you're getting in bed and going to sleep, which sucks for everyone because we don't really want to follow through with that. But, and then when they do come, there's a lot of dilly-dallying, walking around, looking at, and it's not just dinner. It's like anytime there's something like time to brush your teeth or getting ready, for school, which has gotten much easier. But there's still this level of not following through with requests when it's time to do something, no matter how much warning we give them or our visual timers. Like, it's just a very frustrating thing in our house. And I don't know if it's like, sometimes I feel like our kids don't take us seriously. Sometimes I feel like they're just actually too busy, intertwined with each other. But we are sort of at our wit's end because it's an ongoing frustration. Like, we don't know how to fix. We would like to be able to say, 10 minutes till dinner, 5 minutes to dinner time, and they come, kind of thing. And it's just not happening for us. So I'm wondering if there is something, that's, I'm sure that's common for a lot of people. What can we do?
Yes, and definitely kids not listening is one of parents' biggest complaints. So you're not alone. It is something that happens with kids. They tend not to listen to us. And so throughout the class, you've been learning different tools to hopefully you've seen some improvement in general in the area. Because what I'm hearing is 2 things. I'm hearing a general problem with them not listening, and then I'm also hearing the specific one that I'll walk through with you. But hopefully you feel like maybe they're starting to listen a little bit. Hopefully it's not getting worse.
And yeah, like I said, like in the morning, it's definitely gotten easier with my 8-year-old. She's, getting ready for school was a big hassle, and that's gotten a lot easier. And I think, implementing the timers and the visuals, like some of the other ideas, and really getting down on their level, that is helping. But there's still it's generally like when we're asking them to get from point A to point B, there's like a billion warnings that have to come out. And that can happen when we're out, like stand by me in the grocery store and they're all over the place. Can you guys stand near me? Like, I'm having to say it 3 or 4 times. And then come up with a consequence that's like, you could call it a threat, but it's not really. I'm trying not to think of it as a threat because I will follow through kind of thing, whereas before I was doing a lot of empty threats. But it's just a general thing. It's when there's a specific direction that's generally point A to point B, with a timeline, it's just really not happening.
Okay.
And I'm trying to, like, there's not, like, I'm not.
Does it ever happen?
Yes, and it does happen, and sometimes it does, and sometimes.
Yeah, so I want you to build from there. So I want you to recognize each time that it happens, and remember there was one of the ideas for building self-esteem in kids was catching them doing well. And I think I shared a story about
Okay.
that with Mike. That was one of the things that helped me just shift an entire problem, which was, for me, it was them fighting all day long. And it was by catching them not fighting and paying attention to them more when they were not fighting. So in this case, it would be when they're listening to you to really acknowledge that and spend, time telling them specifically like how much it helps you in your life. So the next time they actually do come to the table, and hopefully once in a while they do, so that you can catch them doing well, but when they do, say, oh my gosh, you guys, and get your husband in on it too. Like, this was so fabulous. Look at how fun dinner is when you guys all come to the table on time and Dad and I don't have to nag you 12 times. This is amazing. I love it. I'm having a great dinner, and, and if you can, go do something fun. I mean, it's just like taking that
Celebrate
energy
that,
of
yeah.
appreciate it, yes, and so that you can start shifting the entire problem. But otherwise, you're going to have to deal with it one at a time. Each time it occurs, not get overwhelmed with all the other areas that they're not listening. This is like a husband and wife getting in a fight about something, and then one of them dragging out all the past times that everything went wrong. It just doesn't help move you forward. And so with the kids, you're just going to have, erase all the compounded, it's dinner, and then, then when we're out shopping, then when we're this, and, because that's what overwhelms you and keeps you from seeing the improvement that you have had and some of the tools that you already have at your fingertips that you can use in these situations. So one of the things, if giving the warnings and all that stuff isn't working, then I would sit down with them and say, hey, you guys, like Dad and I totally expect when it's dinner time, you guys are sitting at the dinner table, and we've even gone through this whole thing thinking that if you get a 5-minute warning and a 10-minute warning, boom, you're going to magically show up at the table. And that's obviously not working. So what do you need in order to show up at the table on time so we're not having to police you in this? And just ask them, like, what do they need? And sometimes they'll give amazingly simple answers, and that would be just one way to respond in that moment rather than getting upset, and pulling your hair out and then feeling every other time that they haven't listened to you. And anything else you can think of to respond in the moment, making it fun, being silly, canceling dinner. Wow, nobody wants to come to dinner. Okay, dinner's canceled. Let's go to the park.
Okay.
I mean, get a little crazy here because what's happening is when kids tune you out, they're not listening, right? They don't hear anything, and so you need to shake it up somehow so that they're actually listening to you. And by doing things differently, you get their attention, and so they will know that you're disrupting a routine that's supposed to be there, and they may even get upset about it. Well, no, we have to have dinner. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. They will get upset about it. Yeah, I know they will. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, yeah. So try to respond each time. Then if you're at the grocery store and the thing happens, I did this thing one time. I don't know if I've shared it in this class yet. I don't think I have. Where I went to the store specifically to show my kids I meant what I said. So I did need to shop, but I wasn't attached to getting what I needed on that trip. If I needed to get it later, that was a second priority to teaching my kids I meant what I said. Because I too, went through that period of time of too many empty threats. And, we'd be in the store, it's like, quit running around or we're going to leave. Quit running, and never leaving because I've got stuff I've got to get. And so I don't leave. And just realizing how much that was undermining me. So in my head, we were going to the store to get some things. But if you guys, and I didn't say that out loud, but I said, okay, you guys, we're going to the store, and I need you to behave appropriately in the store. So, and I was specific about the things that they did that drove me crazy, which was, no running and pushing each other in the shopping carts down the aisles. You have to stay with me. And, there was like 2 or 3 things that I needed from them. Is, basically I think it was staying with me and not running around the aisles and fighting and stuff like that. And so we get in there, and I mean, seriously, after I had this whole conversation with them, it wasn't 2 minutes, and they're already, one of them was in a cart and the other one was pushing the other one down the aisle as fast as he could go. And I was like, okay, it looks like you guys don't want to shop today, so we're going. And I turned around and I started walking out, and they're like, no, no, we'll behave. We won't do it anymore, blah, blah, blah. And I just walked out. It's like I was done.
Yeah.
And the reason I was able to just walk out calmly, peacefully, and I wasn't mad. In fact, I was excited inside. I was like, hoo-hoo, I get to show him. I mean what I say. And I had a great attitude. It's like, come on, let's go, you guys. We're just going home. It's cool. And we all got in the car and left, and they were like, no, no, blah, blah, blah. And we just went home. And I never punished them. I never said any told you so's. I never said anything negative. We just went on in the world. And like everything was fine. They didn't do anything wrong. The only consequence that they had was that we didn't stay at the store. And I don't even remember if it was something they needed or I needed. It didn't even matter. What mattered is I said, if you guys don't behave X way, I'm going to leave, and I did. And I followed through, and I did it with a great attitude. And so that's what cured them. I mean, after that, they totally knew. It's like, if we go in the store and we don't do what she says, she's going to leave. And they totally believed me. And it really changed how they behaved in the store. And,
Right.
and and that was at a time where they were a little bit older. When they were younger, I literally did not take them, even if it meant waiting till everybody was asleep and I had to go out and do my shopping late at night, because
Right.
I just didn't want to set myself up for so much frustration, and especially like
Yeah.
grocery
And I
shopping.
tend not to. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I was taking them yesterday because my daughter had surgery, I was taking them to get, it was our outing out of the house to get popsicles. I mean, it was like a treat. And it was so funny because it was like, we're going to get your popsicles, stay with me, and like hold your popsicles. And yet they're like ping-ponging all over the aisles, feeding up every candy. And I'm like, seriously? We're here to get you a treat. Like, this is ridiculous.
I
But
know.
yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
should have just left because we really didn't need the popsicles. It was a treat for them. So yeah, that makes sense.
Well, but I want to just because I think when I went shopping for that stuff, I think it was stuff for me, and so even though they didn't have any investment in being there, and there wasn't any trace of punishment, I really feel like that's why it was such an impact. Because
Right. Yeah, because they just will get mad if it really is a punishment. Like you're there. Yeah. Yeah. When you get into
they'll be
revenge, like I
focusing on
feel like
yeah, they would be focusing on the wrong thing, I think, if you used
right.
it as punishment anyway. And so I think if you just take each case as it comes, and you're calling it not listening now, but hopefully in the future you'll just see it as a forgetting or an accident or something less
Right. Tuning us out.
intentional.
Yeah.
Because I want you to start seeing more often when they are listening to you and when they are paying attention and really calling it out and acknowledging it, because that's the way you're going to get more of it, way more than trying to force them to listen to you in the moment. And again,
Okay.
get your husband on board. So, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I'm guessing you found today's pep talk valuable, and hopefully it gave you some practical tools and ideas for dealing with your children's behavior. If you'd like to work more deeply on these topics and similar topics, please join me over at my website, positiveparenting.com. I'll put a link in the description box here. I have classes starting all the time, classes that are self-directed where you can listen to lessons on your own time, and also Q&A calls where I answer your questions, just like the parents in these pep talks. So I hope, again, that you will like and share and rate this podcast and help more parents be able to see it and hear it and get help from it. Thanks again, and happy parenting.